For weeks, school children in Agobledokui have been home after flooding cut their school off from the rest of their community. The spillage of the Volta Dam and torrential rains have combined to threaten their dreams. The livelihoods of that of their families have also been put on hold as they wait for the flood waters to recede. It's been a month since many of these houses in this community flooded, and residents have to adjust to live with it as their rooms are drenched and filled with flood waters.
I would say since about 1996 that way. It's a seasonal thing now, but coming every seasons. And from June that way it's come. When it's come like this, our schools have been closed. People will not have chance to go to school because it crossed the school road side, so that people cannot move to the school. So we close the school down, and our jobs have been lost, like farm activities. We can't go to farm again, so we just there here and be suffering from food and those aspects. Some houses, the people get in the inside their rooms, so they have to take blocks and put before make bed and sleep on it. Those are the problems that are facing us. As we just stay to manage. When it goes, then we start our jobs activities. As when it comes, it takes about 3 months or 4 months that way.
So for about 3 or 4 months, you'll be living with water?
Yes.
We have become miserable. We can't even sleep over fears our houses may collapse. We just stay up all night.
For many of these residents, this annual occurrence frustrates them. For many, they've been seeing this ever since they were born.
The time that I was born in this town, every year, the water will come. But it also affects us, enter our rooms, our chicken. If they come like this, can't even cook. If you want to cook, you have to buy charcoal before. But if you have a cylinder, so you used to cook.
1 month ni.
It's been 1 month since our houses were taken over by the floods. We need help. We are suffering and we are looking up to God.
Their call for help seemed to have all fallen on deaf ears. No NADMO in sight to offer relief items. No efforts by the government, they say, to end the perennial flooding once and for all. MP for the area, Richard Kwame Sefe, who donated some items on behalf of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, to the community, urged government to come to their aid.
The VRA spillage, the control spillage, which is being done now, the flash waters, as well as the other SSs that are coming into play. For now, we are at a loss as to where to call on, because try as we couldn't achieve anything. If you come to the coast, you are talking of the tidal wave. You come around the hinterlands. This is what we are witnessing. So we are only pleading to the government and its agencies that it's time that they come to help us. If they don't, what is going to happen is that these people are going to remain like this, and God knows when.
Already, a number of MPs in these coastal areas of the Volta region are threatening to vote against government's budget if it does not make adequate provision to end this phenomenon. Mr. Safa says if this is what it would take to get government to act, he will join this protest.
We, as parliamentarians from the coastal area here, we have been doing our bit by raising questions, appealing to government over the few years we're in parliament. Now that the media, you have come to witness some of this. You can see the devastation on the face of the people. Look at them. People could not even go to their rooms to sleep, neither could they do anything meaningful. Representative of people of Anlo, and this is what they are suffering. If there is any means that I, their representative, could do to for the authorities to hear their cries. If that is the only mean we should go, I will go by that. I, for one, if there is a way that we are going to vote, if there is a way we are going to vote, even if it's going to be 1 out of the 275, I will do that under protest. So that one, you count on me that I will have a way of trying to put some of these things across.
For now, and as residents wait for some action by those paid and those in office to fix these issues and make their lives better, they have to wait with patience for the next 2 or 3 months so that they can get their lives back to normalcy. After these floodwaters recede, they can send their children back to school. But the rest of the world isn't waiting. For Joy News, Kweku Asante, Agobledokui, Anlo District, Volta Region.
Thank you for staying with us. We hit the course or the road running in terms of our big stories now. Now, we focus on the extent of damage caused by the opening of the Akosombo Dam or the spillage of the dam. Some communities around the Volta River have been flooded, and we'll be hearing from residents and opinion leaders on how this is affecting them. You already saw in your shot right there some of the residents being engaged with and what they had to share. Really pathetic situation. But joining the conversation now, we have Maxwell Lukuto. He is the constituency representative, so to speak, of the NDC, parliamentary candidate elect. I was just trying to find the right way of addressing him. And he joins the conversation. Maxwell, I don't know whether to say good morning because it's quite a situation there, but good morning to you all the same.
Yeah, good morning. I hope you are doing good.
I am doing well under the circumstances. I've not had electricity for 3 days, so it is what it is. But from what we've seen so far in those pictures, they paint a very, very disturbing picture. These people are brothers and sisters. They have been through the situation for quite a while, and we all know what impact this even has on the structural integrity of buildings. But tell me, how long have you known that this has gone on? And this falls within your constituency, right?
Agobledokui, as you have shown, does not fall within my constituency. That's within the Anlo constituency. But we interest you to know that we share boundary with the Anlo constituency, the
Right.
Akachi South, Central Town, and even North Town. So those are the number of constituencies we share with. And we are along the Volta River, same as North Town, Central Town, and also the Anlo constituency. And so the situation is similar all around our places. It's unfortunate that we are experiencing this not out of a natural rain within our area, but as the effect of rains at the northern portions of Ghana and also the northern portions of countries sharing boundaries with us to the north, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, and others. And so it's out of the effect of the spillage from the Akosombo Dam. Naturally, when it rains, some areas also get flooded, but those ones will be due to poor planning and settlement issues. But what is happening currently is out of the spillage that we are experiencing from the Akosombo Dam. You know, the level of the water should have been about 278 feet. But what they are experiencing is that when they're getting closer to that, then it becomes an issue and they may have to spill to make sure that the integrity of the dam is kept intact. And what we know is that the levels are close or even above the 278 that they are expecting. And so when those happen, then they would have to spill excess water, which would have to flow into the sea. And you know the sea has an amount of water it can contain at any time. So when it cannot go in directly like that, then it begins to spread. And unfortunately, those are the low-lying areas of along the Volta River begin to experience some of these things. And you know there are creeks that are linked into the Volta Lake. So when it happens like that, the creeks also begin to overflow to the inland areas. And so those are the things we are experiencing now. The last week when we spoke, I told you that the spillage affected a lot of the people who have aquaculture businesses within the Volta River itself. You know, aquaculture, you put cages within the water, you feed the fishes with nets around them every day. When they grow, then you harvest and go and also sell. And so most of the people have their cages within the water, and it really affected them. Because once the level of the water rose, and then the speed with which it was coming was unusual, you realize that the anchors that were used to hold the nets in place began to tear apart. And once they were tearing apart, the metal frames that were used even for the cage itself, because of the speed of the water, began to cage in, and so they were getting broken. And so most people lost their cages. They had to virtually be chasing some of the cages on the water to be able to go get hold of them. Some they couldn't, and they had to go smash themselves into other materials. So,
hello, Maxwell. Can you hear me?
A lot of people with cages. So beyond those ones, people who have their residences within the inland areas, as I described area, also have the level of water rising, and so it's entering into their homes. And so, like you saw in Agobledokui, we have similar situations in Bekpo, in Aduto, Sonume, Sonupo. All those areas are experiencing some of these things. And so it's a terrible situation for us, water entering into people's homes. And you know that most of these buildings are not even made of concrete or blocks. They are made of mud. And so when it happens like that, then it becomes an issue. Water staying under mud building for 2-3 days, then it becomes an issue, and the buildings begin to give way. And so that is what we are experiencing now. People don't have kitchens to cook in, and even charcoal to cook with is a problem. So it's a terrible situation. Unfortunately, NADMO, as we know these days, is not resource enough to go to the. I've gone to some few places. I have cruised with boat on the Volta Lake itself. NADMO will have to shake itself and come back and sort out most of this situation. So to paint the picture to you, it is not the best of situation our people can find themselves in presently. And I know that some of these things, it's out of the depletion of the ozone layer, out of global warming that we are experiencing generally. That makes rainfalls unusually high, and it affects the dam, and the spillage is what is affecting us downstream here. My people in Sokwe are suffering, Vume, Tefle, all along the Volta Lake to Agbeve and also into the sea. The level of the water has risen so high that is beginning to enter the communities, and it's not the best of situations which we are experiencing.
The last time I went into that area, you would realize that as far as sea level is concerned, many of such places are not too high above sea level, which leaves them prone to some such disasters. But this has been happening. I heard one of the residents talking about the fact that this had been happening since the 1990s, specifically 1996, thereabouts. It's been about 27 years. We've had the Kita Sea Defense Project, among others. How do we get a grip on this situation? It is clear that on the back of global warming and everything that is happening, the sea levels will continue to rise. What then is the way forward on this beat? Because we can't keep doing this every year.
Yeah, for the sea, what can be done is the sea defense that comes out once a while. But sincerely, constructing a defense against the sea is a very, very daunting task. On few occasions or once a while, those things happen, but there are not things we can do along the whole of the sea width to prevent the rising level of the sea from entering our homes. And so, but as much as we can do, we would have to do these things, reconstruct, and make sure that we safeguard some of the situations. I believe that if the seaport that is to be constructed at Keta is also done, it will create some gauge for the level of the water to come into inland and prevent the size from rising so high. So if the Keta Sea defense is done and the harbor is also done, I'm sure it will create a more serene atmosphere and reduce the effect of the rising sea level on the people.
But that has been in the offing for a long time, the sea defense thing. At least there must be some crucial points that we can deal with to forestall these happenings? We may not be able to do it across the length and breadth of that space, but at least there must be crucial areas that are affected every year that we can target, right?
The technical challenge there is that once you do one end, then the level, the water moves to the other side and it goes to affect them. So to get it completely solved, you need to do along the whole of the beach. I hear Togo also has done a complete sea defense. I'm not too sure, but I reading some literature tells me that they have done so much there, for which reason it's shifted to the Ghana side of the sea. And it means that when we also do our portion, we may have to shift to some other side. And so that is a technical challenge, even with doing the sea defense at crucial areas and leaving some areas out. But notwithstanding, I'm sure that our technical people would have to examine this. I'm sure it is the challenge with finances, which is another issue affecting us, unable to do these things. If we have money, I'm sure government would have pushed for these things to be done. And so I see that also to be a challenge. And I don't know how soon we'll become so liquidated to the extent that we would want to construct sea defense walls along the whole of the sea.
As far as you are concerned, I know that from time to time when some such happenings arise, it is you, the members of parliament, even before help comes, you, the members of parliament, among others, are called upon. What has been your reaction, though you say it is technically not within your constituency, within the surrounding communities that border your constituency? What has been your reaction? Have you had to reach out to some people?
No, I didn't say that it isn't within my constituency. I said the particular clip you show, Agobledokui, is not within my constituency.
Okay,
and
then,
I continue to say that my constituency has been affected. I went ahead to mention communities within my constituency that are to be affected.
Maxwell, then you lost me at a point because I started by situating the conversation and saying your constituency was affected, and then you went on to say no, and it is, so you were referring to the initial place that we showed. I get that.
Yes.
What has been your reaction to your constituents in terms of any assistance or help?
Even before now, knowing that some areas get affected during the heavy rains, I went around some communities to see what is likely to happen when these rains come or if the spillage happens. And I had to technically advise some of them. You know, I am an expert in development planning. I am a licensed surveyor, and some of these things fall within our domain. Technically, I looked at some areas that I felt that we have to do some technical engineering. And my advice was that we may have to look for a dredger, or we'll have to look for an excavator to dig deep some trenches to allow flow of water. There were some buildings springing up at areas that I technically saw to be within waterways. I advised some few people that we need to get those things off. The Assembly is well aware of some of these places and may have to take action by demolishing some of these places and creating drains for the water to flow through when it rains. Those are the things we can do technically on the ground. Like you alluded to, I'm not already the MP, and so resources that come for the people of the constituency does not come through me. I'm sure my MP is on top of issues. I understand he visited some few communities and donated some few items like we saw Honorable Sepe also doing. I will do my bit, but that will not be on the large scale as you are expecting to hear or see. I will do my bit in the smallest form that I can and also give technical advice to people whose places are falling low, so much below sea level, to advise them to move to higher ground for now until the water recedes. In the meantime, people should be careful how they build. Because when you speak to them building at places like that, they will tell you this thing happened as far as 68. The major one happened in 63, another one in 68. That's about 55, 60 years ago. And so their expectation is not that these days the level of water would rise so much to affect their buildings. But that is the situation we find ourselves in here. And so residents who are
so basically,
according to the tenets of the
basically, it means a certain knowledge of the situation is also lost. More education is needed, because if they are fully aware of global warming and the challenges of climate change, they wouldn't be saying some of these things.
Yes, exactly. So it behoves on us to continually educate them and tell them that even though the last time it happened was 68, any day, anytime, because of global warming, these things can reoccur again. And you see, sometimes it's out of poverty also matters in this thing, because if that is the only land bequeathed to the particular person or the family, he would have to move from there, go look for money, buy land somewhere else to be able to build. So they feel that this is my grandfather's land. I don't have money to go buy from any other place. This is the only place I know. This is the only place I can build. So those are some of the problems that come along with some of these issues as well. Some may know, but because they can't help it, they can't do anything about it, they are forced to stay there. But the effect that these things bring is very dire. And so, like we continue to experience in some places of Accra, people know that places flood during the rains, but they are forced to go pay rent and stay in there. When the rains come, their rooms are flooded, they are affected, and they move out. The next time they come in there. So that is the kind of situation we find ourselves in. Basically, I'm sure because of poverty. So people know and they cannot move because of poverty. People don't know, they go to do it because people go to buy some of those places during the dry season, and it's only when it rains that they will know that this place is susceptible to flooding and all those other issues. So it's a myriad of challenges that we need to continually educate people to understand this, and those that can help themselves would have to do.
Even talking about poverty and the grinding poverty and how it impacts people's decisions. You can also look at the fact that a lot of these, like you rightly mentioned, some of the buildings are actually made of thatch and mud, and these cannot withstand any of such shocks, which also basically imperils or endangers them whenever these tides, hit, or wherever there's a spillage. So what do you think can be done? I mean, since you are a surveyor and all of that, what do you think can be done? Sensitization, education on the fact that maybe they should reconstruct or move to other places, because this is like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. In the meantime, the only thing we can do immediately is places that are more convenient for them to move to and be housed for some few days until the water recedes. Beyond that, the assembly has to be up and doing and making sure that those who don't have to build at places that are susceptible to flooding do not do it. You see, the assemblies will always complain about lack of resources to be able to undertake these processes. But when it happens, it is the same assembly we come to crying and looking for help. And so when the assembly begin to do their work so well, it takes away most of these issues. The last time I went to a community, an island community, and I realized that there's a developer who is building so close to the water body. Wow. And I had to explain to them that when those things happen, as soon as the spillage of this nature and the level of the water rises, it goes directly into your home. And so a lot of education is needed, a lot of making sure that people do what they have to do and don't do what they don't have to do. I mean, checking and making sure that people do according to the rules of engagement is also necessary. The assemblies, the DCs, the technical department, the works and housing department of the assembly should make sure that they are up to that to ensure that people don't build where they don't have to build. There's so much lax in the system. And unfortunately, there are a few instances that you hear that the assembly, the people who have to make sure that they monitor this thing are themselves compromised by these developers to do things to the disadvantage of others. So it's
right. Maxwell, we're struggling with the connection to you. It's a bit patchy, I think, based on where you are. But thank you so much, Maxwell Lokuto, for joining us on this conversation. Of course, that conversation, the broader conversation continues, whether it is the tide, the sea itself encroaching on territory, or any spillages that happen from time to time. This is a disastrous situation, and it's affecting our brothers and sisters in that part of the country. The solutions, well, the verdict is out there, and we're waiting to see what help will be brought to bear. Maxwell Lokuto is the Member of Parliament, the candidate-elect for South Tone in the NDC. He joined us for a conversation. Well...